Chapter 44. Ada Rosenstein sat behind his desk. He studied Matt over the tops of his glasses for a long beat before speaking. "I like the way you put it all together," he said finally. "But how did she get Raymond and Ed alone?" "We don't know," Matt admitted. They'd gone over it a dozen times and that part remained a blank space. Kat, seated to Matt's left, leaned forward slightly. "We know she used the GBT to gain control over them," she said. "What we don't know is where she got it, or when and how she administered it." Rosenstein's brow furrowed. He began to shake his head, lips pursed. "Don't tell me this isn't enough," Joe said from his spot at the edge of the conference table. Rosenstein held up a hand, palm out. "Relax. I'm not throwing it out. I'm just thinking out loud." He paused, chewing it over in silence for a moment more. "I'm thinking we charge her for Merrick and Black. We've got enough for that." "That works," Matt said. Rosenstein gave a single nod. "Then let's pick her up. I'll prepare the indictment." The meeting broke. Chairs slid back. Files were gathered. Out in the hallway, Kat touched Matt's elbow, pulling him slightly aside. "When are we going to do this?" she asked. Matt turned and looked at her, brow raised. "You want TV time?" Kat didn't blink. "You don't care, I do." He held her stare for a moment, then sighed. "Fine," he said. "Let's go pick her up." Out of an abundance of caution, they arranged for a SWAT team to make entry into Kellyworth's residence. Joe insisted on being present despite every argument Matt and Kat could throw at him. For safety reasons, protocol required the SWAT team to go in first, clear and secure the interior before anyone else stepped foot inside. The plan called for Matt, Joe, and Kat to move in behind them once the scene was confirmed under control. The moment came fast. The lead SWAT officer gave a hand signal, and the team moved as one. The front door exploded inward with a jarring crash as the handheld battering ram punched through the frame. The officers poured through the entry, their helmets and body armor giving them a robotic, faceless efficiency. Simultaneously, another unit entered through the rear patio, coordinating the movement like a closing vise. "Police! We have a warrant! Police!" Voices boomed in unison as boots thundered across hardwood and tile. The teams cleared the corners, the hallways, the blind spots. Matt stood just outside the threshold, ears tuned to the sequence of shouted, "Clear!" reports echoing back from every room. No resistance, no scuffle, no Kelly. One of the SWAT officers emerged from the entryway closet, shaking his head. Joe broke the silence. "She's not here." Matt's eyes scanned the scene. Everything had happened quickly, but now a strange stillness settled over the house. He waved over an officer coming from the hallway next to the laundry room. "The car?" Matt asked. "Still there," the officer said. "Front driveway. Hasn't moved." Matt frowned. "It makes no sense," he muttered. 2 hours earlier, an unmarked unit had been posted down the block. The officer on surveillance duty had called it in. Kelly Worth had come home. That had been the green light for this entire operation. "Let's do a walkthrough," Matt said. "I'll check the back," Joe said. Matt holstered his weapon. Kat followed suit. Together, they started checking the rooms one by one. The layout was typical. 3 bedrooms down a hall on the east side, the master tucked away on the opposite end. Everything looked untouched. Beds made, blinds drawn, no sign of a hasty exit. "Harold's room," Matt said, stepping inside the first door. He picked up a necklace from the top of a small chest of drawers, the medallion with Hera's image on one side. Matt wore an identical medallion around his neck. Hera had told him to wear it for protection. He had been wearing it now for several days. Penny didn't like it. Kat stood in the doorway, arms crossed, eyes scanning the room. Where the hell did she go? Maybe the surveillance was mistaken. Maybe she wasn't here, Matt offered, though even to his own ears it sounded weak. What he wanted to say was, "Guess that screws up your perp walk photo op." But he let it go. Kat had been ready with the cameras and now the moment was gone. Kat narrowed her eyes. "Maybe." They moved down the hall together. Matt paused to glance into an empty bathroom. In the background, he could hear the SWAT team congregating in the living room, their voices louder now. Relieved. Someone laughed. The tension was dissipating fast. They reached the master bedroom. The space was large. Kat moved toward the bed and knelt, checking underneath. When she stood back up, she let out a short, frustrated breath and kicked the bed frame with the side of her boot. The master bath was attached through a short, open hallway. Matt followed Kat inside. The room was extravagant. Granite countertops, a sunken jacuzzi tub, a glass-walled shower large enough to hold 4 people, and 2 private stalls. On the far side was the open entrance to an enormous walk-in closet. From where he stood, Matt could see that both sides of the closet were lined with neatly hung clothes. He blinked. Something moved, just the faintest motion, like a ripple through fabric. "Kat," he started. Before he could finish, Kelly Worth lunged out from between the rows of hanging dresses, face twisted in rage. She held an automatic pistol in her right hand and was already raising it. Everything slowed. Matt registered the movement, her hand coming up, gun already halfway raised, eyes locked on him. His own hand went instinctively for his holster, the familiar weight of his revolver under his left arm. But she had the jump. Her gun was up first. Matt took a sidestep to the right, trying to break her line of fire as his fingers wrapped around the grip of his weapon. Her muzzle tracked with him. Fast, a flash, a deafening crack. Pain punched into his chest like a sledgehammer. The impact threw him off balance, knocking him into the doorframe. His legs gave out. He collapsed onto the tile, struggling to breathe. The air ripped from his lungs. For a split second, he thought he'd been shot through the heart. A warm, crushing weight pressed against his sternum. He waited for darkness. Beside him, Kat moved. Matt didn't even see her draw. 1 second, Kelly was leveling the weapon. The next, crack, crack, crack. A series of deafening blasts filled the bathroom like a single torn note. Kat's 45 slugs hit Kelly center mass, knocking her backward into the closet. She crumpled to the carpeted floor, her limbs splayed, face up, the weapon clattering from her grip. Silence rushed in behind the gunfire. Matt blinked up at the ceiling, his ears ringing, heart pounding. He touched his chest gingerly. No blood, no hole. Just the Hera medallion, warm now against his skin. The bullet had struck it dead center. Titanium, the size of a Kennedy half-dollar. Hera had told him it would protect him. He hadn't believed her. He believed her now. Shouts erupted from down the hall. Seconds later, the SWAT team came storming into the master bath, weapons raised, eyes sweeping every corner. Matt, still slumped on the tile, lifted a shaky hand to wave them down. Kat dropped to her knees beside him, grabbing his arm. "You're hit. I saw it." Matt shook his head faintly. "She got me in the chest. Hera's medallion stopped it." She yanked open his shirt. The Hera medallion rested over his sternum, the metal scorched and visibly dented where the round had struck. They both stared at it. "No way," Kat said. Her voice was tight with disbelief, maybe even awe. "That thing actually stopped a bullet. It fucking hurts." Kat looked at him like she wanted to slap him and hug him. Instead, she kissed him hard on the cheek. "You scared the hell out of me." "Yeah," Matt said. "Me too." She exhaled, the adrenaline starting to ebb. "You know you're never going to live this down." Matt groaned. "At the range?" Kat nodded. "At the range. At every family dinner. Every time I see you for the rest of your life." He gave a tired grin. "I know." She kissed him again, slower this time. "Just remember to be a good sport about it." The late afternoon sun slanted through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Caitlin's lakeside home, casting long shadows across the marble floors. Matt and Penny lounged on the massive sectional sofa, nursing glasses of wine as they watched the press conference on the enormous wall-mounted television. Kat Berry stood at a podium festooned with microphones, her blonde hair pulled back in a severe bun that emphasized her sharp cheekbones. Her Navy FBI blazer was perfectly pressed, the gold badge gleaming under the harsh lights of the cameras. Behind her, a row of law enforcement officials stood shoulder to shoulder, Chief Wilson among them, his expression appropriately grave. The FBI, in conjunction with local law enforcement, has concluded its investigation into the deaths of Raymond Merrick, Edward Black, Rebecca Johnson, and Harold Worth, Kat announced. Matt snorted softly, taking a sip of his Cabernet. The press conference continued, with Kat fielding questions. Her responses were polished, carefully worded to take maximum credit for the Bureau, while still acknowledging the valuable contributions of local law enforcement. Your sister's beautiful, Penny observed, studying Kat on screen. Matt glanced at Penny, then back at his sister. She's happy. She got her TV time. Penny set her wine glass on the coffee table and rose from the couch with a languid stretch. The movement caused her silk robe to slip slightly from her shoulder, revealing the smooth skin beneath. Matt's eyes followed the motion appreciatively. "Let's go play Princess in Distress," she said, a mischievous smile playing at the corners of her mouth. Matt raised an eyebrow, his interest piqued. "How do you play?" Penny turned toward the curved staircase that led to the second floor, letting her fingers trail along the polished banister as she began to ascend. "I'm a princess in distress," she explained, "and you're the valiant knight who comes to save me." The sway of her hips beneath the thin silk held Matt's attention. "What's the catch?" he asked, already suspecting there was more to this game. She paused on the stairs, looking back over her shoulder with a wicked smile. "I'm not really a princess. I'm an evil sorceress who takes you prisoner." "You like that prisoner stuff, don't you?" Matt said, rising from the couch. "So do you," Penny replied confidently, not bothering to look over her shoulder to see if he was following. She didn't need to. She knew he would. Cal Merrick's solicitation of capital murder trial began 6 months later. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters and camera crews, all jostling for position as the defendant, once Vista Ridge's most prominent businessman, was escorted inside in handcuffs. Gone was the imperious swagger that had once intimidated everyone, from city officials to construction foremen. In its place was a subdued, gray-faced man in an expensive suit that now hung loosely on his frame. Prior to the start of the trial, the district attorney had offered Merrick a plea deal, 20 years in exchange for a guilty plea. The offer had been generous, considering the evidence. Merrick, convinced his high-priced legal team could create enough reasonable doubt, had rejected the deal outright. The trial lasted 3 weeks. The prosecution built a methodical case, presenting damning evidence day after day, while Merrick's attorneys tried desperately to suggest their client had been entrapped. The jury deliberated for just 4 hours before returning with their verdict: guilty on all counts. At the sentencing hearing, the judge showed no mercy. She sentenced Cal Merrick to life with the possibility of parole, which in Texas meant a minimum of 40 years before he could even be considered for release. His appeal, filed the very next day, surprised no one. Despite Detective Oberst's best efforts, Jen Berry disappeared. The warrant for her arrest remained active, but the trail had gone cold. It was as if she had simply ceased to exist. Her credit cards remained unused. Her phone registered no activity. Her passport hadn't been flagged at any border crossing. Facial recognition software scanned airport security footage nationwide without a single hit. "She's gone to ground," Oberst had said during their last update. "But people like her always surface eventually. They can't help themselves." Exactly 1 week after Kelly Worth's dramatic arrest, Matt's phone rang with an unknown number. He answered, and there was a brief silence, followed by a familiar laugh that sent a chill down his spine. "Hey, baby," Jen's voice purred through the speaker. "Where are you?" he asked. "Let me help you." Jen cackled on the other end of the call, the sound distorted either by the connection or by whatever had broken inside her. "I'll be close, baby," she said, her voice dropping to a whisper that was somehow more unsettling than her laughter. "Count on it." The call terminated with a sharp click.